Hi everyone, I am Zeiss, and on this channel I turn you into an RPG master. So if that's something you're interested in, make sure to smash the subscribe button and keep in touch. Now, there is the patch notes here for Diablo 4 Season 4, and it's 1.4.3 for all platforms, and it's gonna hit on June 17th. We're gonna focus mostly on the hardcore necromancer perspective here, especially the non-minion builds, right? The usual stuff that we do. If you are looking for TLDR, there's plenty of softcore Andes who probably do that. Feel free to fuck off and go watch that instead. So let's move on here. It's gonna be the class balancing patch, so I'm hoping for something good here, though I am not very optimistic. Now, let's see. General healing potions, initial healing increased. Okay, that's good. Strong, greater, major, and superior healing potion. Initial healing increased by 200. That's especially good for Soulbrand. I assume many use Soulbrand now that damage reduction is kind of not in the game anymore, really. So I guess that's a really good buff. We'll make sure to test it as soon as this patch comes out. Let's see, legendary aspect of Protector. Barrier cooldown reduced from 30 to 20 seconds. So, okay, that's pretty good. Then it actually makes sense using this every now and then too, especially initially while leveling. Let's see those things now. Okay, mythic unique items. Sandariel's Visage. Poison Nova now spawns on the enemy instead of the player. Wow, that's quite a change actually. That sounds really good. Now, this item might be actually worth something now, instead of using it on like one rogue build and one druid build. It might be actually a thing now. Why I'm saying this? Especially because on the Vessel of Hatred expansion, we'll be getting mercenaries. And probably, unfortunately, not any buffs if we choose not to. So that might be a thing. Right, poison nova damage is increased as well, so that might be again, like in Diablo 2, one of the best helmets to use on your merc. Doombringer, shadow explosion damage is increased, so maybe this sword is actually finally viable for shadow builds. I guess we are yet to see. Probably it's gonna be better on the rogue instead of the necromancer, but I guess we're gonna have to test. Ring of Starless Skies, which is actually now a complete bullshit compared to a just tampered legendary ring, and with some aspect that you actually need. Let's see, maximum stacks of resource cost reduction and bonus damage increased from 4 to 5. Yeah, I mean, what they could do is allow us one tamper or on unique, so they can actually be worth something now. But I don't see this happening anytime soon because it might be too much power. But it will at least allow us to make uniques actually unique, because they suck a lot, maybe except just a few of them. So, especially having in mind the Ring of the Sacrilegious Soul no longer gets the Grasping Veins effect, it's pretty useless, I say. Increases the maximum amount of resource cost reduction and bonus damage from 40 to 50. Well, I still don't believe it could be better than some tampered ring with the aspect of torment, but we might wanna test this to confirm. So if the essence goes below 50, this ring still sucks. Tyrael Smite, divine damage increased. Yeah, that was actually something I commented on during live streams, that the damage of this armor actually sucks quite a lot. And it is very low and not so easy to scale, so that might be a thing now. Stat requirements for non-main stats reduced from 90 to 60 per Paragon board. What? Let's see. A class's main stat is the one that increases the damage of all their skills. For example, sorcerer's main stat is intelligence. So this change, the rare paragon nodes that have threshold bonuses for dexterity and willpower. Yeah. Okay. The stat requirements to activate any rare node increases for each additional paragon board you progress through. Yeah, that's a thing. Some of these nodes that require non-main stats were harder to activate than intended. Well, yeah, we knew that was gonna be a thing with all those changes, right? So this change makes it easier to activate these nodes, especially on later paragon boards. So I guess those are gonna be just some minor adjustments, but probably we won't need to get those magic nodes which are with stats, so we can get some bonus because we couldn't get it on the way to them. That's gonna be quite good. Barbarian, I just hope it's nerfed to the ground, and I'm generally gonna skip it because it's still OP, too OP. Druid, nah, I just hope it doesn't suck, but let's move on here. Necromancer, it looks like it's mostly Book of the Dead and Paragon changes, but let's see. Skirmisher sacrifices upgrade. Okay, critical strike chance bonus increased from 5 to 10. Yeah, finally now. It makes actually sense to go without them. Especially if you are like me and you fucking hate minions. Defender sacrifice resistance to all elements increased from 20 to 25. That's a really good change. Especially for the first two capstones. Let's say on the first one you need lightning and shadow the most. On the second you need fire and cold the most. And then you pretty much need all of them. Reaper sacrifice upgrade, shadow damage is increased. Okay, that's good. I don't see anything about the ossified essence though. Shadow mage's sacrifice upgrade, maximum essence is increased. Okay, that's not really a big of a deal here, especially when we have essence per second on the helmet, on the chest piece, on the boots. That really doesn't make such a big difference here. But maybe for Bone Spirit, especially if you use it with Banished Lord's Amulet. Now, with greater affix of maximum resource on the helmet and on the focus, you can probably cast overpowering Bone Spirits now with this change without having to actually use the elixir, right? Now also increases essence generation, which is pretty good. So totally looking forward to that. Like I already mentioned, I just fucking hate minions. They are pretty stupid and I don't like them. Especially what I don't like is how the golem is too overpowered. So totally looking forward to this. I was just hoping that they also nerf Bone Spirit and actually buff Ossified Essence, because now Shadow Blight is way too powerful compared to Ossified Essence. And the blood builds generally suck. They are only good with Ratma's Vigor, only for like speed leveling, open world speed farming. Not to mention Blood Lance is a complete junk, especially after day 1 when you wanna do single target bossing, and then it just sucks. Okay, let's move on here. Cold Mage's sacrifice upgrade. Damage to vulnerable enemies is increased. It's not much, but that's actually quite a significant change here, because especially on bone builds we pretty much make things vulnerable with every hit. So that's gonna be a thing, especially if the damage doesn't crit. If like your critical strike chance for some reason is like below 50, that could definitely help. Bone Mage's sacrifice upgrade. Overpowered damage is increased. Yeah, okay, that's pretty good actually, but I was hoping, like I said, for something else. Bone Golem sacrifice upgrade, attack speed bonus is increased. That's actually really good change. Blood Golem maximum life sacrifice is increased, 15. Yeah, that's pretty good. But probably those who do play hardcore do not sacrifice this golem and actually use it for the damage reduction if possible, right? Iron Golem sacrifice upgrade, critical strike damage bonus is increased. Okay, so let's say we have 10% more damage, which is not really much. So what I'm hoping again to see is the Ossified Essence being buffed, but also Bone Spirit being nerfed. So we can actually have some kind of balance between those core skills, because right now it's Bone Spirit is amazing, but it has very high requirements. Bone Spear is okay-ish until you get to monster level like 170, then it might actually suck. Blood Lance, just no comment, it's terrible now, even with all the tampering we can get, because the only good bonus it gets, it's just duration, which is not that helpful, right? And Blood Surge, it's open world speed farmer, it doesn't do anything unless you have very, very powerful grandfather with great graphics to damage and all that, and too much life to actually do more overpowered damage. Right, let's move on here. Paragon board, blood begets blood, legendary note. Maximum damage is increased from 15 to 30. This is when you get the blood orb, so that's actually kind of makes blood builds more viable, except blood lance, because you actually need those orbs to shoot more lances. Well, you can also pick them every now and then, but they are quite scarce when you use gore kills, so I guess that's not much of a big deal here. We'll see. Blood Drinker Glyph, 45 bonus is increased from 7 to 10 of your maximum life. That's pretty good, but mostly viable for Blood Surge builds. For, like I said, with Lance you can actually rarely consume those blood orbs, because gore kills is the thing which usually consumes them, right? Desecration Glyph, shadow damage bonus is increased from 15 to 20%. Well, that may make several builds a bit more viable, and the bullshit Blood Mist build Infinimist a bit more viable. But Blood Mist and Infinimist are two words which are usually banned on this channel. That's for the softcore noobs to discuss, I guess. But let's move on here. Yeah, it's not the kindergarten, you know. Gravekeeper Glyph, damage bonus increased from 2 to 3 up to a maximum of 12 to 18 for every close corpse. Okay, that might make golem builds now even more powerful, especially those who use this with Blood Mist and generating corpses, and maybe also a few more builds, like for example I'm using this on a Bone Spear guy, right? Because we generate corpses all the time with Hewitt Flesh to also fortify and all that, so that's quite the buff here. It might not seem much, it's just 1%, but it stacks up to 6 times, which makes it like up to 6 multiplicative, 6% multiplicatively more. So let's say probably not many will actually notice this. I don't think those things are a big deal, because when we sum it up, it's just like kind of makes up for the Banished Lord's change, like half of it. That's not much, Blizzard. You're just fucking with us, right? Legendary aspect, sacrificial aspect, sacrifice bonus is increased from 10 to 25 to 35 to 50. Well, that kind of makes it a bit more useful here, especially if you want to play Bone with a focus, which is kind of weird, but now it might be a thing. Because on, let's say, shadow builds, you don't really have room for this aspect, and on blood builds, same thing, especially if you use untimely death, which for some stupid reason doesn't work with life per second and life per hit, right? So I hope there's something about that here, but I didn't see anything. Let's see, shooting storm aspect. They changed it to get barrier based on maximum life instead of base life. Now, I've talked about this before, and we've been wondering, why was this not like that in the first place? It would have made much more sense, and it looks like they are gradually shifting from effects based on life to be based on maximum life instead of base life. So finally we have someone there who has some sense surrounding their ahead here, right? We're gonna generally skip the rogue stuff. Probably a lot of rogue creators are gonna comment on that. Sorcerer here, definitely skipping. Let's see now what they are sharing here about the endgame. Health and damage levels have been reduced in the pit. Yeah, that would make sense. The adjustments is most significant as players approach tier 60, so more players can fully participate in masterworking. Well, the thing is, after 60 on hardcore, gear becomes pretty much irrelevant, because, for example, I have a video on my channel being one-shotted to death with 80 damage reduction, 80k life, and protective aspect not triggering. So doesn't matter what you have, that probably doesn't matter much. So the only way to not die after tier 60 is by just evading or not playing hardcore at all, right? So you don't have to care about this, because when you die, you're probably gonna lose like up to 3 to 7 days of work to get similar stuff that you used to have, but that's another topic. Let's see, we are adjusting the pit so more players can enjoy a smoother in-game progression experience. What they need to actually change is that they make their mechanics work in the first place, and also remove those stupid one-shotters, because that's just bad design. I get it that their idea of difficult is to make us avoid certain attacks, and there's no other way around it. But then why bother presenting so many options and choices in gear when after you play 20 hours and get to the end game, to the actual end game like this, let's say 20 hours, okay? Probably the average guy will take like 20 hours to get to pit 60 and up, right? So whatever you had before that doesn't really matter, because many things can just one-shot you, no matter you used all the defenses in the game. And this mostly applies for the cameo bosses, which are aiding the pit regular bosses, because their abilities don't do much damage. But those aiding bosses, which are actually somewhat of a skill to those bosses, those things need to be tuned down, because we're back to square one here. Remember when I was fighting the Echo of Lilith when the game released? Of course I killed it, no problem, but those are the things we are facing right now, the same challenges. Your gear doesn't matter, so you have to go completely glass cannon, because it doesn't matter, they're gonna one-shot you anyway. Doesn't that feel like Pac-Man to you? Are we back in the 90s or something? Yeah, hope not, but let's see. Not that it was a bad time or anything, just saying that to me personally this is bad design, and I expect to not see it much from now on, especially from the expansion onward. Like, who the fuck told them to include raids? People are screaming and crying for a solo mode, not just me, many of us do that, and they bring us a dungeon which requires a party to go in. I mean, this is not World of Warcraft, you can go design those bullshit right there. This is the Diablo franchise, and I don't necessarily believe we need that kind of thing. But we'll see how it goes, especially maybe Sorcerers and Barbarian would be able to solo that thing, if we are even allowed to enter solo. So that's probably something we're gonna have to see. Okay, moving on here. All tormented bosses have had their health reduced by 30%. This includes blood boils from the tormented Echo of Lilith. Okay. Nobody actually cares about this. Nobody cares about this. What we care is not being one-shotted to death, no matter we have all the defenses available in the game. That's what we care about. Not the boss's health. And probably nerfing those OP builds and balancing them with the rest of the builds. Especially for the core skills now that the tags were changed. But let's see, what else? What other inadequacy will we see in this patch? Let's see. Bug fixes. Fixed an issue where Holy Bolt elixir damage was scaling unintentionally high when it was triggered from pets such as Necromancer minions. Okay, so calm down. You can actually now use this next week onwards, right? Holy Bolts now deals a percentage of your weapon damage rather than percentage of the enemy's health. Well, that's rather stupid, don't you think? Because now that the health is decreased and you can actually scale damage quite nicely, especially on softcore, that's actually quite the inadequate change here, right? Especially for those builds who do billions and billions of damage. That's very inadequate to me. Okay. This change is intended to, I don't care, I don't want to read it, because it's obvious yet again that 9,000 people are not enough, or maybe it's just the game director, I don't know. Maybe I'm just gonna keep on being glad that I'm not Diablo partner and I can actually say what I actually mean. Okay, moving on here. Fixed an issue where casting boulders with Dome and Stone would cause it to not cast at all. Wow, Druid players rejoice. That was actually quite a thing from like 2 patches ago, so they finally fixed it. Boulders now have limit of 10, but I mean, come on, should I even read this? I have no idea how they managed to fix one thing and break 50 others. That's probably when you have many programmers around and poor management and poor leads and poor game directors. Do those people actually know what's going on? Probably not. At least we didn't find any syntax errors this time around in these patch notes, which is quite good and quite the improvement for Microsoft or Blizzard or whatever you want to call them now. Okay, fixed an issue where rapid fire with Scoundrel's Kiss equipped couldn't properly hit close targets. Yeah, I remember that was a thing, many people complained about it. Could sometimes fire projectiles behind the player. Okay, also increases the radius of the explosion by 25. Right. Fixed an issue where pets were being counted as minions in various cases. Yeah, that's maybe the most important sentence in this entire patch. The other things, yeah, mostly good changes. Zeiss approves. Would definitely keep on playing the game, because Zeiss hopes the game will eventually, maybe after 10 years, become any good and worth the price tag. So, I guess there's not much more to add here. I'm not very impressed with this patch at all. We're seeing some buffs here, but they are pretty negligible and funny. We have to play test to verify how that actually is, but for now I don't believe that they are moving towards better balance according to what I've tested compared to the PTR and during the season. Some things are still too powerful, too inadequately powerful, and most of the things still suck. And actually what they did here is kind of shift the underutilized things, like skills and items and all that and affixes. They either removed them or they buffed them too much so people could actually now finally play them and enjoy the new meta, so to say. But still, I don't think those are good and adequate choices. And as you probably know already, we do those complete patch reviews here, so we can actually make adequate choices. If you believe you can beat the game without understanding it first, yeah, good luck and call me when you do. Not much to add here. Zeiss out. Take care. See you on the next one. Bye bye.